Understanding general education. It can be challenging. How to know what classes to pick and what pattern to follow depends on your goals. Let's dive into it. General education is necessary for an associate's degree and also transfer to a four-year university. If you're heading for a certificate, you don't necessarily need general ed unless it is part of the certificate itself. General education looks different depending on what goal you're going for. In our current catalog, 2016-2017, it's on page 60, is our general education pattern for both an associate's degree from Columbia College, as well as our transfer pattern for CSU and our associate degrees for transfer. So the way you interpret this grid is by going down your columns, and there's actually 2 pages. Okay, so there's 5 areas of general education on the CSU transfer pattern and associate's degree transfer pattern. And on the left side for associate's degrees, if this is your goal, you'll follow these rules, right? 1 in A2, which you come over to A2, and that's English 1A, or an AP score. And then 1 in A1 or A3, so you get to choose between area A1 and area A3. Now what in the heck? What is SpeechComm 1? What is SpeechComm 4? How do you know what those are? You would look in our course descriptions starting on page 142 and find the correct code that goes with those. So for speech, you'd look into speech. I just have this picture of anthropology here, which gives you the short name, Anthro 1, what it's actually called, how many units it is, if there's a prerequisite or not, like for example, this Anthro 8 has a prerequisite of Soc 1 with at least a C or better, or if there's a recommended for success, such as in this one, they recommend that you have already completed or surpassed English 151, basically telling you that college level writing is going to be expected in that class, and you will suffer in that class without those skills. So that's how you interpret what these codes mean, and then you would do that for each area. On the CSU side, or the associate's degree for transfer side, it just ups it a little bit. So for this one, you would need 1 in A1, 1 in A2, and 1 in A3. You would go to the next level, 1 in B1, 1 in B2, 1 in B3, and 1 in B4 with at least a C or better. So there are things that count for associate's degrees only, like Math 104, and then everything else would be transfer for CSU, if not indicated that it's only an associate's degree. Now in general ed, you cannot double dip across the general ed pattern. You'll see English 1B here to meet a humanities requirement, or you can see it here in a critical thinking course. You can only use it in one category on the general education pattern. However, if English 1B also happens to be in your major, say you're an English major and it's a requirement, you can double dip from your major coursework into general ed. So that is how, one class can meet multiple requirements. So page 2, you kind of do the same thing. In associate's degree, you only need one course out of all of these options. But for a transfer degree or a CSU pattern, you need 3 courses, one from here, and then a third one. Same thing as we go down. Strongly recommend that if you are considering going to a CSU, they have a graduation requirement of U.S. history and U.S. government to meet their American Ideals graduation requirement. And so we recommend that you use this general ed area to meet those requirements. Not required, but recommended, strongly recommended. And then lastly, if you're going to get an in-house associate's degree, we do have 2 units of activity courses that are required. And that is on the pages just before the general ed, so I believe it's page 59 in this particular catalog. And it's 1 PE class and then 1 additional unit of activity, and there's many to choose from. Okay, we already talked about the course descriptions. Now, if you're considering going to a University of California, a UC, most UC transfer majors will use the IGETC general education pattern. It stands for Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. That's why we call it IGETC. It's way too long to say. But IGETC can be used to fulfill GE requirements for both CSU or UC systems. Many private schools also will accept IGETC as their general ed requirement fulfillment. However, if you are a UC-bound science major, engineering major, or computer science major, you have what you call a unit FAT major. You have so much preparation in those particular industries that they want you to focus on those rather than the general eds. However, there are still some minimums that need to be met, and so you're going to want to work with a counselor very closely to make sure you are getting all of your courses that are required met, as well as your general ed in a really specific way done so that you can be eligible for that transfer. Okay, IGETC requirements start on page 62, and there are 2 pages to this one as well. There are technically 7 areas of IGETC. However, because it works for both CSU and UC, they have all these little notes, like this is for CSU students only, and then in the languages, this is for UC only, and this area 7 is for CSU only. So you got to be careful and also work with a counselor to determine what is your best rate of, your best choices for classes. UC is really just more picky about the courses that they take than CSU, and so that's why you want to work with a counselor. And also use the IGETC pattern if you don't know which school you want to go to yet, and UC is an option. So for example, Math 8 is not in here, but you will see it in the math area for general ed on CSU. I don't know, UC just figures if you're taking trigonometry, that means you're also probably taking pre-calculus and calculus, and they don't want to give you more credit than you need, and so it doesn't apply. Okay, they also have that same caveat with the stars that you can only count things in one area for general ed. So, in general, why do you need general education? Really, it's to have a broad-based liberal arts degree, right? It's the base of an associate's degree or bachelor's degree, saying you are a well-rounded, critical thinker, lifelong learner person. You know about the world that you live in, and you can articulate well. Which general ed pattern is right for you? Remember, it depends on your goals. If you want to have the IGETC pattern, if UC is an option, CSU, private schools, and you can also use IGETC for those transfer degrees. If you know for sure you want to go to a CSU, use the CSU GE. We can also use those to get you a transfer degree from here, an associate's degree. And then an in-house associate's degree, a standard associate's of arts or science. Use that general ed pattern for the associate's degrees plus 2 activity courses, and you will be set with your general ed. Remember, a degree is a combination of general education courses, major preparation courses, and then a total of 60 units. So, now you know all about general ed. Hopefully you feel prepared to make choices for your educational plan.